Very good morning, cadets. Hope you have gone through the previous video session. We are in chapter number 3. That is electoral politics. Today, let us study about the reasons why we need elections. So, in the reasons or why should we need election? Because in a democratic country, election is a huge expenditure. So, if that is the case, why regular election should be conducted? So, we are going to study the reasons why the election should be there. Is there a democratic way of selecting the representatives without election? Let us think of a place where representatives are selected on the basis of age and experience. Or the place where they are chosen on the basis of education or knowledge. There could be some difficulty in deciding on who is more experienced or knowledgeable. But let us say the people can resolve these difficulties easily, such as such a place does not require election. So election is not required in which places? Where if selection of representatives generally done in a easy way. Easy way in the sense based on education, qualification, experience, all those things are taken into consideration. But in the case of India, having vast population and wide geographical area, selection of the people on this criteria or basis is difficult. So naturally we should hold elections. Representatives rule as per the wishes of the people is a question mark, because vote representatives, they generally give a lot of promise, but are these promises are fulfilled? This requires a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals and change them if they wish to do so. Now the question comes here, what do you mean by regular intervals? Regular intervals means it is a question of term. For example, in India we have term of 5 years. So every 5 years, of course, elections are conducted. So that is what we are speaking about, regular intervals. This requires a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals and change them if they wish to do so. But here, changing them if we wish, this feature is there only in a direct democratic form of government, where in the mid-session or in the mid-term, candidate may be called back. But in India, of course, it is not there. Only possibility is that whenever the next election is declared, we can have a right not to elect that person. This mechanism is called as election. So, what is election? Elections conducted in the regular intervals and change them if they wish to do, this mechanism is called as election. Therefore, Elections are considered as essential for our times for any representative democracy. Now, what you would understand here? The term called representative democracy. What do you mean by representative democracy? A democracy which is run with the help of representatives. That's why it is called representative democracy. So, in a representative democracy, elections are conducted in a regular intervals. If the representatives of the people run the government, that is called as representative democracy or indirect democracy. Ours is an example for indirect democracy or representative democracy, because we elect our representatives and in turn our representatives, they run the government on behalf of us. That's why we call ourselves as a representative democracy or indirect democracy. In an election, the voters make many choices. They can choose who will make laws for them. Don't take other meaning of laws, L-O-S-S-I. It is law, that is rules and regulations. So what our representatives can make? Our representatives they got the power to make law, that is passing of law in the parliament. So they can choose laws for them. They can choose who will form the government and take major decision. So the major decisions are done by the representatives. They can choose the party whose policy will guide the government and lawmaking. People got the right to change the political parties and elect a new party if they are not happy with the old party. So, in an election, voters make many choices. So, what are the choices voters are making? They make the choice of they can choose who will make laws for them. That the one means representatives. Second, they can choose who will form the government and take major decisions. They are giving a power to make who will form the government and take the major decision. And they can choose the party whose the policies will guide the government. That is also one of the use or change what we can generally see in the process of election. Now coming to the major issue, that is what makes elections democratic. What makes elections democratic? Now, why this question? What makes elections democratic? Why this question? Question mainly because elections are conducted even in the non-democratic countries, including China. But can we call the elections conducted in China as democratic elections? Can we call Indian election as a democratic? If we are calling Indian election as democratic, then what is the criteria? So that is what we are going to study. Election can be held in many ways. All democratic countries hold election, but most non-democratic countries also hold some kind of election. How do we distinguish democratic elections from any other elections? As we discussed this question briefly in chapter 1, we discussed many examples of country where elections are held but they cannot really call democratic election. Let us recall at what we learned there and start a simple list of minimum conditions of a democratic election. Now, what do you mean by democratic elections? If every person is given the right to vote, democratic, that is universal adult franchise. Value of vote of a person, one vote, one value, that is also a democratic elections. We have seen in the case of Sri Lanka where the local Sri Lankans, they got more value than the Indians who are settled down. Same case in the case of Fiji. Till recently in Saudi Arabia, women were not allowed to contest and they were not given voting rights. So there are many examples like that. So let us study those examples. First, everyone should be able to choose. This means that everyone should have one vote and every vote should have equal value. Now, what do you mean by everyone? Means here everyone in the sense adult citizens. Like in India we have universal adult franchise system where citizen above the age of 18 given the power to vote. Then one vote, one value. That means, for example, the President of India also having only one vote, even common man also having one vote. And his vote also considered as one, mine also considered as one. That is what? One person, one vote, one value. That is called equal value. That's very, very important feature of a democratic election. What is the second major feature? There should be something to choose from. Parties and the candidates should be free to contest election and should offer some real choice to the voter. Now, what do you mean by choice? For example, I am giving an example of if someone is chased by a tiger and he is of course running and he is the dead end of the road, then he got a choice either to jump and die or face the tiger and die. So can you call it's a choice? Because that is not a choice, because there the person is not having any option to select a good choice. Such choice cannot be called as choice. We should not vote for a party. For example, if you are voting for Congress or BJP, you should not vote for Congress because BJP is bad, or you should not vote for BJP because Congress is bad. This cannot be a choice. So that it's always said that there should be something to choose from. For example, in China, there is only one party. When there is no one party, naturally there is no choice. So parties and candidates should be free to contest elections and should offer some real choice to the voters. So parties should give the real choice to the voters. So that is what the real choice. Third, the choice should be offered at regular intervals. Means choice should be provided in a regular intervals. That means it is not once in 10 years, 15 years. elections are conducted. It's not like that. Choice should be given in a regular intervals, once in 5 years or whatever defined by the constitution. Elections must be held regularly after every few years. Fourth, the candidates preferred by the people should be get elected. This is very important. Candidate preferred by the people should be elected. That means, imagine if the people are willing to elect a person, he should be elected. Then you may be surprised that how other person is getting elected. There is a possibility of rigging or capturing of booth. In such a incidence of capturing of booth, naturally a person who get elected may not be preferred by the people because of the misappropriation of electronic voting machine. Fifth, election should be conducted in a free and fair manner. Election should be conducted in a free and fair manner. That means people should elect a person out of the merit of that particular person. We should not vote for a person because he gave 2000 rupees or he offered a dinner. That cannot be called as fair choice, because you are influenced because of the some external benefits. That cannot be called as fair choice. So election should be conducted in a free and fair manner. Whatever free, take for example, if somebody is coming and shouting and in the entire village is threatening, if you don't vote for me, then I will make sure that you will not survive in that particular place. So that makes election is not a free election, because there people are biased. So that makes free and fair election means people go out of free will and they exercise their power. These might look like very simple and easy condition, but there are many countries where these are not fulfilled. In this chapter, we will apply these conditions to the elections held in our own country to see if we can call these as a democratic election. So, how many conditions we have seen? So, condition 1, that is everyone should be able to vote. Condition 2, that everyone should be given a democratic choice, that is parties, candidates should be free to contest for election. Third, choice should be offered in a regular intervals. Fourth, the candidates preferred by people should be get elected. What is fifth? Elections should be conducted in a free and fair manner. So those are the 5 major points on which we will conduct. Now let us implement these things under the conditions of India. Is it good to have political competitions? Elections are thus all about political competitions. This competition takes various forms. The most obvious form of the competition among political parties at the constituency level. What is called constituency? Constituency means an area from which a representative is elected. That is called a constituency. I repeat, constituency means an area from where a representative is elected. So at the constituency level, it takes the form of competition among several candidates. If there is no competition, elections will become pointless. So constituency, for example, Bijapur is a constituency, that is MP constituency, because one MP elected from Bijapur constituency to the parliament or to the Sansad. So Bijapur is an MP constituency. It is good to have a political competitions. Clearly, an electoral competition has many demerits. What are the demerits? It creates a sense of disunity and factionalism in every locality. You would have heard of people complaining of party politics in your locality. Different political parties and leaders often level allegation against one another. Parties and candidates often use dirty tricks to win the elections. Some people say that this pressure to win electoral fights does not allow sensible long-term policies to be formulated. Now, what is called party politics? Take for example, if you are voting for a particular party, means if your family, then your family, if the opposition party, the party whom which you are not voting, if the party comes to power, they intentionally neglect you because they know that you are not supporting of that party. So, and there will be always clash between the various parties in your locality. That leads to factionalism. Factionalism is nothing but division, making a faction or a group. And because of factionalism, what happens? It creates disunity. It breaks the unity among the people. So it creates disunity among the people. And because of party politics, generally the political party neglect, I repeat, political party neglect the concept of development. So that those are the problems of party politics. Let us continue in the next class. Thank you.